Hello everyone, my name is Brandy Collinborn and I'm with Brushed by Brandy. I am a Dixiebell Paint brand ambassador and I'm also a member of the Prima marketing home decor team. So I am here today live on the Redesign with Prima page because we're going to be doing, I'm going to be showing you how to use some furniture techniques. Sorry, I'm a little distracted. This is my 5-year-old, this is Logan, he's going to be my assistant today. Let me know if you guys are on. Let me know if you can hear me okay. I'm sorry I'm a few minutes late, so I'm going to jump right in and get started. So let me show you this piece that I'm working on today. I usually have a camera person here to help me answer questions and stuff, but I'm on my own. If my husband was home from work right now, I would be worried because it's only 11 a.m. in California. So it's just me and Logan. Can you move over for a second? I'm getting a gravel delivery literally right now as we speak. Hi Donna, yay, you guys can see me okay. So this piece that we're working on, which is a little low, so I'm going to tip my camera down. Hopefully you guys can see it okay. Hi Brenda. This piece that I'm working on is actually a vanity. So it's got a large mirror that sits on the back. And let me tell you a little bit about this vanity. So this came to me. I'm literally getting a gravel delivery in my driveway right now and it's super loud. Okay, so this piece came to me and the person who bought it, it was painted for them and it was done just extremely poorly. So I'm going to be fixing a bunch of these mistakes on camera with you today. So what somebody did with this is it looks like they made their own chalk paint. I know a lot of people do that, but one message I want to put across today is that the paint really does matter. The paint that you're using really does matter. So I'm going to be using dixiebell paint today, and dixiebell is a beautiful, good quality paint that is made for painting on furniture. Let me get down a little bit lower. So this was a homemade chalk paint. It's a latex paint, and somebody added a calcium carbonate or something to it to give it that really matte finish, but it still has all the qualities of a latex paint, which means when I'm going to refinish this, this paint just wants to peel. Can you see this? This paint will just peel right off. Latex paint is not great for painting on furniture. It still retains all the qualities of a latex, and it doesn't have the binders in it that are made for painting onto furniture. So dixiebell paint is a great quality paint that's actually made for painting on furniture. And I love dixiebell with the Redesign with Prima products together because dixiebell gives you a great base, and then the Prima products are all your jewelry, all your accents, everything that steps your piece up that extra notch. So today we're going to be using some dixiebell paint, we're going to be using some Redesign transfers, we're going to be using the artisan powders, Dixie dirt. I'm going to walk through this whole look with you. So what I started was this latex paint base. It's not in great condition. In fact, I left this drawer in as-is shape just because I felt like I needed to show you the condition that it was coming to me in. It was peely. So when you sand a piece that has existing paint on it, you really kind of need to assess what was done to it first. Hi, Tracy. You need to assess what was done to it first. And latex paint, because it will peel, you don't want to sand it with a high grit sandpaper. So I sanded this with a really fine grit sandpaper, and I've got a nice smooth surface that's not chipping, not peeling, anywhere that I can put a coat of paint over and know that it's going to adhere to this drawer fine. The colors that I'm going to be using on this vanity are, so dixiebell just released a limited colors in partnership with Flea Market Decor magazine. I believe that's backwards for you guys, but it does say Flea Market Decor. And this is aged ivory that I'm using. So aged ivory is a rich, creamy ivory. It's not a pure white, it's a little bit warm. I just love it. It's perfect for the age of this piece. I'm doing a little bit distressed finish, so that ivory is beautiful. And then I'm using it in conjunction with one of the existing dixiebell colors, which is dixiebell driftwood. So the Flea Market Decor paints work great with the existing dixiebell colors. I'm going to try to read your comments as I'm going. So the finished look that we're going for is going to be what's on this drawer on this side. So this is our finished drawer. I'll give them to you to compare. So this was the before and this is the after. And I achieved this look using paint, Dixie dirt, and then artisan powders. So I'm going to go ahead and get started and we'll paint this drawer together to match exactly this one. I'll leave it up here so you can see it as an inspiration where we're going. You'd like to hang out with me for a week? Well, you may just get the chance. It's not a full week, but Dixiebell and Redesign with Prima have partnered up and they are offering the first ever Redesign with Dixiebell conference. It's going to be in Ontario, California. It's the last weekend in September. It's open to the public and I'm going to be teaching there. So it's really an awesome opportunity because it's not something that's been offered before, a conference that's been open to the public. I want to get my camera down a little bit so you guys can see me better, what I am working on. I'm going to tilt it. Just one second, guys. I'm going to tilt the camera down a little bit so you guys can see.
I gave us this.
Thank you.
He put it right by our door. I just want to leave it up.
Let's see, you got a piece, you remove the paint with water and scotch brite, so there is a resin paint made for furniture. Yes, there is. This piece is a statement too. There is paint made for furniture. So I'm going to start out with my Dixiebell Aged Ivory from the Flea Market Decor line. And again, the Flea Market Decor paints are 6 colors made by Dixiebell that were released in partnership with Flea Market Decor magazine. They're available through the end of the year. That's a really exciting partnership and an opportunity to try out 6 limited release colors by Dixiebell. So I'm starting out just with a single even coat of this aged ivory. And a couple of things I wanted to go over is when I'm painting this drawer, I'm noticing the person who painted it before me, I have paint all over the drawer body. I have incomplete paint lines here on this drawer edge. And how sloppy does that look? So I just think it makes all the difference in the world to take the time to make those extra steps. Yes. And I'm just using my Dixiebell mini brush and I'm just tipping the edge of this drawer here and hitting this line. Because this drawer was painted before and it's painted so sloppily, I am going to finish these drawer sides and I'm going to finish these with paint. You can see here on these drawer sides that I used a contrasting paint color. I pulled a paint color out of my transfer that I'm going to use on the piece. And the transfer I chose for this is this transfer here. So we're going to do this on camera today. You caught me live. Yes. Hi, Joe. So this is the transfer I'm going to use. And I pulled my color for the drawer sides from this kind of color here. It's Dixiebell Blueberry, but it's kind of this periwinkle blue, which is really pretty. Hi, Leah. I was watching you last night while I painted, Leah. I loved Leah's live from last night because Leah used the Dixiebell Flea Market Decor paints and she mixed them and she used a few of the different colors. So I'm using one of them here today. But if you go check out the Dixiebell page, last night she did a great live using a whole bunch of them. So I'm just tipping the edges of this drawer and I'm fixing this paint job that somebody else had put on this drawer. So I've got a nice clean even coat of the aged ivory. Now I'm going to come back in with my Dixiebell driftwood and I just use driftwood basically for a little bit of shading on this piece. Sorry my face is cut off. I want you guys to be able to see my piece more than anything. So I know my face is cut off. So this is a very subtle look, but it's really, you know, kind of aged and dramatic. And I think with the color pop from the transfer, it's going to be really, really pretty. Turn that down a little bit. Hi from Connecticut. Okay, so I'm using Dixiebell driftwood. And I'm just going to add a little bit of it onto my brush, not very much at all. And I'm going to take this and I'm just going to hit the edges of my drawer body. So I'm using a vertical brush stroke just because I want to kind of flare it up into my drawer I just want to be able to get the edges. And I'm going to go all the way around my drawer box. You know, I did the edges of this drawer without thinking. They actually should be in the dixiebell driftwood, and I had done it in the aged ivory, so I'm just going to come back and change that to driftwood. Okay, so once I've got a little bit around the edges of this drawer, I'm going to take a different brush. For this purpose, I like to use the dixiebell oval medium. This is a nice clean dry brush. I'm going to take it with no paint on it, and I'm going to blend this out. So my paint is still wet. My aged ivory and my driftwood are both still wet, and I'm just going to work this paint out a little bit. I'm going to pull the driftwood into the aged ivory. I'm going to pull the aged ivory into the driftwood so that you can't see where one stops and the other starts. My paint's getting a little bit sticky right now, so I'm going to take my spray mister. Bring out my spray mister. My spray mister, which I don't have. Hang on one second, let me grab it. I always have my mister with me. Sure enough, I left it right on the floor where I was working yesterday. Okay, so if your paint starts getting a little bit sticky and you feel your brush start to dry, you can hit it with this, which is a spray mister. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Yari. I'm blurry. Maybe if I back up a little bit, does that help? Okay. So I'm just working this paint out. It's still wet. I just added a little hit of water. And I'm just working those colors together. I didn't put any paint on this brush. In fact, I want to keep it clean and dry the entire time I'm doing this. So I will take a rag and I will continuously dry. It's so blurry. Hang on one second, guys. Okay, let's try that. Let me know if that resolved the blurriness for you guys. Okay, so what I have here is I just took that little bit of driftwood, and can you guys see the little bit of shadowing that just added around the edges? It's very subtle, but it's just gives it that little hint of, you know, of that shadowing. Still slightly pixelated. Okay, well, let's give it just a second. Okay, so now I'm going to take these drawer sides, and like I said, these just still blurry. I'm going to check it one more time. Okay, it's better for you, Tracy. Okay, that's good to hear. A little bit better. Okay, that's the only answer I have, you guys. We did get some internet solutions, so hopefully that's a little bit better. So I'm going to take these drawer sides that somebody else had painted, and I'm going to put a coat of paint on them. So somebody had just sloppily painted this drawer side and gotten some paint on it and just run with it. I know, that's a, man, that's what being live is all about. So when I paint on raw wood like this, I'm just going to use a single coat. Number one, because I don't want my drawer boxes to get too thick to where they start rubbing on the body of my piece. And I'm going to use a little bit of water on the raw wood here because I want the paint to act more like almost like a stain than a true paint. I just want a really thin coat, just enough to cover up this white that was on here. I'm going to come up and hit the edge of this drawer box here, get right up to that lip with a really steady hand. I get a little bit more paint. Just using my dixiebell mini and a little bit of water, and I'm laying this on. You'll still be able to see the wood grain through, but it's just enough to give it some color and coverage and get rid of those white spots. Little bit more paint, and then I think it's good. Okay, So my drawer sides are painted. I'm going to set this aside and let it dry. I'll come back and do the other side on this too. So that's my basic paint finish, which is my base, and my drawer side is painted. So I'm going to take out another drawer that's already dry, move this paint out of the way, and then we'll move on to what was the next step in this. So you guys, when my internet cut out, I was talking about the Dixiebell and Redesign with Prima have partnered up to offer a conference that's open to the public. It's the last weekend in September in Ontario, California. And they've structured it really nicely. There's a group of 6 teachers. I'm one of them. And you get to take classes from all 6 of the teachers over the course of 2 days. And I think it's going to be awesome. It's going to be amazing. It's really well structured. Like I said, it's in Ontario, California over the course of 2 days. So I took this drawer. This is one that's dry. This is just the same paint finish we just put on that one, but this one's dry. And now I'm going to take some dixiebell Best Stain Wax in clear. And I just have a big floppy wax brush. So I use a brush for putting on wax. So I'm going to dip this into my dixiebell clear wax. And I'm just going to brush a coat of clear wax on this. I just want to preserve this paint finish now that it's nice and dry and I've got clean, even paint, because we're going to be adding some decorative accents to this. Now, I'm not putting any transfers on this drawer. If I was putting a transfer on here, I would not want to wax it first. Your transfer should go onto your raw paint. So I put on my wax and now I'm going to wipe it back. I just want a really thin coat on here. Okay. Super smooth. Super smooth. Feels great. And then I'm going to take a small artist brush and I'm going to take some Dixie dirt. So Dixie dirt is way underutilized. I say this every time I pull it out. Like, I don't know why I don't use Dixie dirt more because it's absolutely beautiful. So this is Dixie dirt in charcoal. Comes in 4 different colors, shades of gray and brown and black. And it's a really fine powder. So it's an aging dust. So I'm going to take this really soft bristle little artist brush and I'm just going to dip it in my Dixie dirt. Now a little bit of this goes a long way. So I like to take the lid of the container and I just dab it off in here. So it loosens any of that extra powder off onto the lid. And I'll save this so I can keep using it around my entire piece. So I'm going to take this and I'm just going to hit the edges of my drawer. So it's got that new coat of wax on there. So this Dixie dirt is going to embed itself into the wax. Get up here where you guys can see me a little better. And this just adds that extra layer of color, that little bit of depth to my paint finish. You can kind of see down here where it just darkens it ever so slightly. And I'm going to come and do just around my 4 corners and hit the edges of this piece ever so slightly. A little bit of this goes a long way. See how it darkened that corner, but it's really pretty and dramatic. I'm doing this backwards so you guys can see it. Ideally, I'd be looking at this straight on. So this is a really soft brush and I don't have a lot of that Dixie dirt on here. And I'm just hitting around the edges of my drawer with the dirt. Oops, I just dropped some onto the front of my drawer, which I don't want, but because it's got that clear wax on it, I can take my clear wax brush and use it like an eraser for any parts that I don't want. And it takes it right off because it's embedded into the wax. This dirt is embedded in the wax. Are you wearing pants? I'm wearing, like, I have pants on, but they're shorts. I'm wearing shorts under my apron. I'm in California, you guys, and it's absolutely gorgeous here right now. So yes, I have pants on, but they're shorts. I'm not just wearing an apron with nothing under it. Sorry, that would be a way more interesting video, I'm sure. Okay, so can you guys see how beautiful that is? Let me pick up the wet drawer that we just did. And of course I just dropped more dirt onto the front of my drawer. Come back with my clear wax. and I can take it right off. A dirt is meant to look like authentic dirt on the edges of a piece. It's just a little bit of shading on the edge. So I'm going to compare this for you guys to the drawer we just painted. And do you see what difference that dirt made around the edges? You see that there? So just a paint finish, Dixie dirt. Okay, so now I've got my dirt on here. I'm going to close the lid on this because it's that fine powder, like it will spill and get everywhere. Okay, and now I'm going to come back with, these are Memory Hardware Artisan powders, and these are by Redesign with Prima. Distributes these. So there's retailers throughout the nation that do carry the Redesign or the Memory Hardware Artisan powders. And this color is called French Sage. So it's like a deep green color. And I like how it just added a little bit of a murky effect to my piece. I'm going to actually set this up here and work on this a little bit easier because that was an awkward angle for me to work at. Okay, so what I think is funny about the artisan powders is the artisan powders are exactly the same as the Dixie dirt. They're this fine powder, but they come in a variety of colors. So dixiebell has the basics, the brown and the black, but then you can come in with the artisan powders and add a little bit of color. So I'm going to take this artisan powder, it's a green, it's a shade of green on the same brush, and I just hit the edges of my drawer with it. I'm just bringing in a little bit of the green. This will pick up on the leaves that are in my transfer that we're going to put on next. So I'm just adding a little bit of the green. Ooh, I just got blue. I'll come in here so you guys can see it. So every layer that you add just adds a little bit of interest to your paint finish. Just takes it that next level. From just a clean raw paint finish. It's 85 in South Carolina. There you go, Victoria. You're right there with me. It's been beautiful here. My only complaint is the mosquitoes have started coming out, and they have eaten me alive because of it. I've been working my tail off in my my workspace, which is in my garage, and I'm getting eaten alive by mosquitoes. Yeah, this little bit of green. It's very subtle. I already have some on here in the corners. I don't even know if you can see it very well on camera. If I turn my light up, can you see it? No, that actually probably bleaches it out. But it's a very soft shade of green. So in combination with the Dixie dirt, and this very soft artist brush is perfect for laying these on. So that was the artisan powders, and these come in a variety of colors they have, and you can mix them too. So for example, they have this French Sage, but they also have a light shade of blue you can mix into a teal. I've mixed they have a royal blue and a Merlot color, and I mixed those into a violet. So that's kind of the finished look for my drawer. So now I'm going to come in here and we are going to add a transfer. So I love how the Prima products partner with dixiebell. So you have, between the two lines, you have so many products to use together, and that's kind of what the conference is going to be all about. It's going to be about using the products all together to really create complete looks. Okay, so Prima transfers come in sheets like this. So this particular transfer, this is called the Lavender Bush transfer. This is from their most recent release, their spring release from 2019. And what I love about these is I usually get multiple pieces out of these. So this one had 2 sheets like this, and I've already done one piece using the other sheet. So I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to use it on here. So for the price of one transfer, I'm getting 2 pieces out of it, which makes them really reasonable. What I'm going to do with this one is I'm actually going to cut it all up. I'm going to cut these florals out. You can put this on in any layout that you want to. So I'm going to cut the script out here. I'm going to cut the florals out here. So I'm going to sit here and cut this transfer all apart. I'm cutting it while it's still attached. It's got 2 layers. So I've got the clear transfer piece, and then I've got a white backing that's on it. I'm cutting it while they're still attached. Once you take that backing off, the transfer is adhesive, so it will start sticking to everything. So until you're really ready to use it, you don't want to take that backing off. I'm cutting out a piece of the script here. So on my vanity, I've got a top portion here. And you can see I've got two wooden tops. I sanded these down to the bare wood. It's just the raw wood right now. I cut up my piece of script. So my thought is I'm going to use the script portions here on this vanity top. And then I'm going to put flower details against the wood grain. And I think that'll be really pretty, that the flowers will stand out. The script might kind of get lost in the wood grain, but these flower details will be beautiful against it. They'll add a little bit of color because my colors on this piece are otherwise very muted. So adding this transfer gives me some color. I'm cutting out this. I'm going to cut this piece off over here. So I just roughly cut around the edges of my floral. So this is what I'm going to put on top of this wood detail over here. So I'll just set that aside for now. And I'm going to cut out this other. This one's beautiful. Okay, and then I've got this other floral, and I'll use that on the other side. So I like this because I'm working in groups of 3. So I've got 3 transfers here. I've got 3 wood details here, 1, 2, 3. So everything comes off really symmetrical. I'm going to take this drawer out right here. Okay, again, this was sanded down to the raw wood, and I put a little coat of stain on it, a water-based stain, and I'm going to use a transfer on the front of this drawer. So I'm going to choose this little swag shape because I think it'll be really pretty across the front of the wood. I'll put my drawer back in the piece to do this. So this is a little swag. I'm just going to add it to the center of this drawer here. Sit right in between my hardware. So now that I know I'm going to stick this onto my piece, I'm going to remove this white backing here. And this is just a little cutout from my transfer. I can put it either way, whatever way I want to be, right side up or upside down. And I'm going to center this. Now I've got a seam in my veneer here that's right in the center of my drawer. So that's a really easy center point. This transfer is called Lavender Bush. This is from the spring release. You can get these transfers on the Dixiebell website, which I've linked above. My affiliate link is above. So because this is a little bit adhesive, once I stick that onto my piece, it will hold itself on there. I'll bring you guys in a little bit closer so you can see me do this. And then the transfers come in the box, or in the tube, the cardboard tube that they're shipped in. They come with a little stick. There it is, right on top. Okay, so this is what the stick looks like. And then I'm going to take over the top of this transfer, and I'm just going to start burnishing it with my stick. So I'm just rubbing over the top. I'm using a lot of pressure because I want the transfer to stick. I'm going to pay close attention to the edges of the transfer. Okay, and once I feel like that has started to attach, I'm going to come to this clear paper and I'm going to start peeling it back and attaching it as I go. So this is applying a transfer onto raw wood. Once you get a little air bubble in there, you can kind of push your air bubble down into the transfer, and that will help it release from the backing. So now I can kind of come in here and start pulling this away. I go really slowly as I'm pulling this away because I want to watch for any areas that have not released that I need to come back and get with this little stick. And you'll see the transfer starts to turn a white color. I'm going to turn this light down so you guys can see better. Yeah, that's better. Yes, this is the Lavender Bush transfer. So it starts to turn a white color as it's releasing from the backing, and that's kind of how you can tell beautiful. Okay, how pretty is that? Looks like a little inlay. So now I'm going to come in here, and with my fingers, I like to go through my transfer and push down all the edges. I like to make sure there's no air bubbles. This step is really key in making sure that your transfer has good adhesion. It can get air bubbles underneath it. And that's when you see the problems with like putting clear coats and things over them is it's not adhered somewhere and something gets in underneath that transfer. So I feel like I've got nice good adhesion, and now I'm going to take a super fine sanding block. Super fine. You know what else works great for this are the dixiebell finishing pads. I love the dixiebell finishing pads for this. I don't have one sitting here with me, so I'm going to use my sanding block that I have out. I'm so clear now. You guys, whoever follows me on my page, I've had tons of internet issues. This has proven to be my answer. If I carry this thing around with me all the time, it emits a Wi-Fi signal for me. So even though we're remote out here, that has proven to be my answer. So I got one, just came in the mail. Hopefully that's the solution. So I've pressed this down. I feel good that it's nice and attached. If it's not, when you go over it with your sanding sponge, where do you purchase them? I have a link here at the top of this post, which is to the dixiebell page, and they sell the Redesign with Prima transfers. They're also available at retailers throughout the country. You can go to the Redesign with Prima website, and it will tell you where you can find a local retailer. So, and that's for the artisan powders and the transfers as well. So now I'm going to come in with this really fine sanding sponge, and this. So the transfers have this kind of clear halo around them, but once you burnish them down, it takes that clear halo away. And this will blend in seamlessly to my piece. You can sand as much or as little as you want. If you want to give it kind of an aged look, you can sand it more, and it will start giving that kind of distressed look. I love that. It is perfect. It laid perfectly, and it looks beautiful. So I'm going to go ahead and take another one of my cutouts here, and we will put one onto the top of this piece. So like I said, this is kind of what I'm left with right now, and I'm going to keep cutting it up. You can use these just as little accents if you just wanted to add this single little flower here. Imagine how many pieces you could get out of this one transfer. And I will. I'm going to use every single piece of this. I'm going to lay them out and kind of compose them however I want. So this is a really pretty French script, and I have no idea what it says. What is the Wi-Fi thing? It's called, it's from Verizon, and it's called a jetpack. And it has proven to be my solution. So I'm looking at the shape of my piece and the shape of this transfer, and I feel like this one fits better at the top and this one fits better kind of at the bottom. I'm going to stagger them on the top of this piece. I'm going to raise my camera up so you guys can see where I'm working. Just one second here. There we go, and then I can tilt it down and you'll be able to see where I'm working. There we go. Give it a little bit of light. The light may not be better. Okay, so I'll leave it dark. So I've got those down, and then I'm going to choose, let's see, I kind of want to add a floral in there too, mixed in with these. You can layer these transfers on top of each other into any, you know, layout or pattern. So I'm thinking something like, you know, like a floral. That floral should probably go with that piece there, so they're symmetrical on the sides. I'll come over here and do this one then. Okay, so I'm going to stand up, and then I can release this backing from my transfer, and I can place this onto the top of my piece however I want. So I think I'm just going to go kind of straight down the center. Just like that. And then I will take that same little burnishing tool that I have now set down somewhere that I don't see. There it is. And I'm going to rub this one on. This is going to be exactly the same process that I did on that door front. Again, this is raw wood, so I put a little bit of water-based stain on here. But it does not have a clear coat on it. You want to wait until after your transfer is on before you put any kind of clear coat on your piece. Same with this here. There's no wax on the center, on the paint. I will wax it after my transfer is adhered. So whatever finish you're putting it on, be it raw wood or a painted finish, you want to make sure you don't have a top coat on that. So this combination of the redesigned products with the dixiebell paint, I'm able to take this vanity that was in really, really, really poor condition, had a really poor paint job on it, and now it's going to be gorgeous. It's going to be something somebody treasures again. So pieces that have an existing paint finish on them that somebody else has done, and it's not necessarily the best paint finish, you can come back and using the right products, you can make those pieces over and give them the finish that they should have had to begin with. And that's kind of what this is getting. Oh, it's so pretty. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing where I come back with my fingers and I'm just feeling for any air bubbles in here. You know, if you get air bubbles trapped underneath your transfer, it can cause a whole bunch of problems. And you'll know right away. If I was rubbing my finger over this, if it's not adhered, pieces are going to start peeling. They're going to start sticking to my fingers. So this is attached beautifully. You guys saw how easy that was. And then I'm going to come back with my very fine grade sanding sponge again. And I'm going to go over the top of this. And this blurs that halo out that's around the edges of my piece. It also, you know, seals in this transfer to my piece. But this is how you get rid of the halo that's around your edges. You need to rub them away with a finishing pad or a sanding sponge. That's how you get rid of that halo look that's around the edge of the transfer. And I'll just keep going over it until I like everywhere around my transfer. So my wood is nice and smooth. My transfer is good and attached. You see that? It's absolutely gorgeous. What is the best way to remove an air bubble? So once you have it on and you've peeled away that plastic backing sheet, you have to work with the transfer really carefully. So I would press it out with my fingers, actually. I still see a little bit of the halo around this side, so I'm going to keep... I don't want to sand too much over the colored portion because it will start taking the color out of that, and I don't want to lose that part. So I'm just focusing on the edges of this right now. Just kind of going around the edges of each piece. Just enough to get rid of that halo, but not enough to take off the color from my actual transfer. But I will push the air bubbles out with my fingers because I can feel it. It's tactile. You can feel it. You can hear the air bubbles popping out as you push through the transfer, if there is any under there. I didn't have any under this one. This one laid really beautifully, but it does happen. So that is my redesigned transfer. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, you guys. So today we laid on some dixiebell paint. I used one of the new flea market decor colors in aged ivory, along with dixiebell driftwood, and then blueberry for our drawer sides. And then we used the lavender bush transfer. We used the Memory Hardware Artisan powder in, what was that, French Sage, I think it was called. And then Dixie Dirt and charcoal. It looks beautiful on the raw wood, that little bit of color. It kind of takes the colors and the transfer down, but just adds a little bit of color on top of that raw wood. It's beautiful. So now I'm going to come back and I will clear coat this. I will clear coat the wood in dixiebell satin clear coat. What grit of sandpaper? Super fine, super fine. So that is a 220, but it's so worn down. I would say like a 400, super fine sandpaper. Otherwise, you will start to cut through the transfer, and you don't want to do that. So I'm going to wrap this piece up. It's actually almost done. I have the mirror all painted. I need to put the hardware on. I'm going to wrap this piece up, and I will have photos for you guys. But I showed you guys how to do the whole paint finish, and you'll see the transfers on. So this is going to be an easy one for you to recreate and put together yourself. So you guys, if you're interested, look up the Redesign with Dixiebell has a Facebook page. If you're thinking you might want to go to the conference, and all the information is on there. The cost, the dates, the hotel, everything is on there. So it's Redesign with Dixiebell paint conference. And they've partnered up to do a conference doing techniques like this, where we put together complete looks using products from the Redesign line and from the Dixiebell line to really show you how to take your furniture up to that next level. So I'm going to get off. Thank you guys so much. I will be live tomorrow on the Dixiebell paint page at 9 p.m. Eastern. So come back tomorrow to the Dixiebell page and join me there. Thank you guys.